You're working on Turandot now. Can you tell us something about your experience in Macedonia by working here in Turandot?
Well, first I think, very good friends of Igor Durlovsky, your intendant, and this is his first premiere. So we are all doing the best to make a very good premiere. And I've been a lot in ex-Yugoslavia. I've been in Croatia, Serbia, Montenegro, and I was also in Skopje when I was 27 years old, or 26. So I was, when I was young, always having a trip in Yugoslavia, because my father was a very famous tenor, and my father was a good friend of Tito, President Tito. So my father made concerts for Tito in Brioni, in Belgrade, Zagreb. And so I was going through when I was young, I was going through ex-Yugoslavia. Was a beautiful land from Slovenia until Macedonia. And so I knew a lot of this land. And it's a pity that everything fell apart, because it was a beautiful land altogether. So I have a good remembering of Macedonia and also other Yugoslavian regions.
And now you're back in Macedonia again.
I'm back in Macedonia because Durlovsky offered me to open his first production, his time as intendant, as director. And we try to put a good cast together and make a very good work. You know, the problem of this theater is it's not a rich theater. It's, let's say, a poor theater. But even when you don't have money, you can do something very good, very professional and interesting. I suppose sometimes that if you don't have money, you can be more interesting as when you have too much money. Because when you have too much money, you say, oh, we have so many things on stage, don't worry. But when you don't have much money, you have to use a lot your brain and your direction capacities. So this is what you're trying to do here.
And how is going on?
Good.
So far.
It's good. Chorus is very good. And Maestro Martinenghi is my partner as conductor. I'm old friend of mine, so I know him very well, and he's a very good conductor. And we try, as I told you, to put together a good, important cast to make a good premiere.
What aspects of Turandot appeal to you? The music, the story, singing, acting?
Everything together. Turandot is a masterpiece of the Italian music literature. And this is the last opera of Puccini. As you know, the finale is not from Puccini, because with the death of you, Puccini dies too. And so the finale is from Alfano. But this is based on an Italian fairy tale of Gozzi. Gozzi was a famous writer in Italy. It's a very dramatic piece, but at the meantime also a very funny piece, because ping, pong, and pang are funny figures. So this is always like it is in life, tragicomic, you know. You can laugh and you cry. So this is and so in this meaning and this idea, we also have to understand that a touch of Greek tragedy is there.
What would you say is your connecting point to Turandot? Which character is the one that guides you?
No, Turandot has many interesting characters. Probably the most interesting characters are the first three, with Ping Pong Pang. The first is Turandot. She's a completely frigid ice personality, and she needs vengeance to demands, because her grandmother has been raped by a foreign person. So she wants to vengeance her grandmother to all the princes who want to marry her. And she basically invented the idea of three enigma. Who solve it can marry her. Who doesn't, smiert. Yeah? And the three enigma are very interesting because they are based on the personality of Turandot. The prince, the unknown prince, Caliph, the tenor, is basically a man who just lost an empire with his father. And he finds himself in Beijing, and he sees this woman, and he falls in love. And he wants to decide, and he wants absolutely to have her. So, the relation between the two, Turandot and Caliph, is an interesting relation because she doesn't want a man, and he wants her and her empire. She's a Chinese daughter of Kaiser, of the Emperor of China. So he lost an empire, but he wants also to win the next empire, which is China, bigger than his empire that he just lost. The father is a blind father. Generally, when somebody loses a war, in this time they blind the people with very hot metal. You have a story here. You remember here with Constantinople. You remember where they sent back all the 1,000, only one with one eye. You remember?
So he can guide.
Yes. So to blind people was especially powerful people. You definitely don't kill them, but they cannot do anything more. They are blind. And this is the destiny of the grandfather, and the grandfather as the father as the most discreet figure, Liu. Liu is a slave, but she falls in love with the tenor just because he smiled at her one time. He just made that. For that reason she falls in love. She says, perché un dì nella reggia mai sorriso. For that reason I do everything and help your father, and fell in love. So now what's happened? He is between a slave and a powerful woman, and he decides, of course, the power. He is a powerful man, Caliph, but nobody knows his name. And when he wins the three enigma, and she's very mad, Turandot, he says, don't be mad. I give you another chance to kill me. He says, tell me my name until the sun will be up on the sky. She sees a chance. And now they torture the father and torture Liu. And Liu, not to speak because she knows the name, kill herself for love. It's a very interesting situation. Well, she discovered a new powerful caliph. He loves her, they love, and they make the future. But Liu is basically the big love protagonist of this piece.
How does your direction contribute to the story of Turandot?
Well, you have many possibilities to tell a story. You can tell a story in a realistic way. You can tell a story in a surrealistic way. You can tell a story as fairy tale. You can tell the story as only dramatic, or you can put the accent on the comic, dramatic situation of the piece. We choose the way of the theatralic feeling of a Greek tragedy with Chinese background. So this is what we try, and so we have effects, Chinese effects, effects of Japanese theater and also effects of Chinese theater.
How do you make the singers in this production understand the character? And if you see a character differently, your singer does, how do you find a way to deal with it without changing the relationship between the character in your version of the story?
Well, listen, singers are not marionettes, okay? So, of course, each conception has to work together with the acting capacities of the singers. We don't change, I wouldn't change, let's put it like that, I wouldn't change the conception if I change a singer. But I would change probably the way of acting on stage, but not the whole conception, because the conception is something you realize months before. So you cannot change it because you change a tenor or you change a baritone, okay? But a good director, I think, should be elastic and pay attention that not each singer is equal to the other one.
Is there any particular aspects of your art that will be enabled to see in Macedonia production of Turandot?
Well, you know, you have funny operas, you have only dramatic operas, you have funny dramatic pieces. So in Puccini you find many times this, also in Turandot, because in Turandot, as I told you before, you have the masks of tragic, Greece tragedy, and you have the masks of the commedia dell'arte, the funny. And so a good director, I think, and what I think I'm trying to do, is to make laugh and make cry the public. Generally, you have directors better for dramatic pieces and you have directors better for funny pieces. I did all my life both. And I think in this Turandot, I have the occasion to mix the two situations, theatralic situations.
Today, many are of opinion that a number of directors, especially German and French, are more innovative and are not afraid to experiment. Such experiments can open new paths in opera performances. Do you feel the need to bring something new to the opera, or do you think that opera does not need directors to experiment?
Okay, listen, experiment is very important. But where you want to go with an experiment, you want to let the public behind you that they don't understand what you are going. For that reason, this is not the right space. The right space is an experimental little theater. A big opera house can be experimental, of course, has to be experimental, has to propose something new, and I did that all my life. I'm 72 years old, okay? And I did in my life over 100 operas. In the Metropolitan, Stockholm, South Africa, Sydney, Covent Garden, Berlin, München, Hamburg, Scala, Napoli, Roma, Torino, Genova, Palermo. So I was everywhere, and I had many occasions to say something new. But what I think is new is what I think the public understand is new. But if you make something new and you cut off the public for your mental development, so this is not correct. To be new is important, but not to be understandable. The public has to follow you because the public has to pay the financings of a theater, because the public is sitting there and looking, and if they don't understand, I mean, I don't mean they have to understand in a primitive way, but they have, if they don't understand, at least they have to feel this is new.